I have been proud to be a Republican, but today I'm almost embarrassed to say that I'm a Republican because of where the party has gone.
Trump is transforming the moral character of the Republican Party into something that is quite honestly morally despicable.
It pains me that the Republican Party is not the party that I grew up with.
The Republican Party has become a cult, and I like to call it, we have Democrats, we have Republicans, and we have maggots, the Make America Great Again Trumplicans.
The Republican Party no longer is a Republican Party. It's a Trump party. And I would love to see the Republican Party come back in its full glory in the Reagan years.
The saddest thing about Trump is that the whole Republican Party has now backed him up, even to the point where you get Elise Stefanik saying that Mike Pence's decision was the wrong one. So like many people, I'm a man without a party right now.
The Republican Party no longer was centered on the values I cared about, but was instead centered around Donald Trump in a way that still I find somewhat baffling.
This is not the Republican Party that I want to be a part of if this is how it's going to be. If this continues on, I'll probably end up going independent.
I do not understand the Republican Party in that they continue to support him, with the exception of just a few handful of people. The GOP party, or the Republican Party that I thought I was a part of, was represented by what is best for America, not is what is political best for me. We find that the majority, the preponderance of Republican candidates put political winning over principle. And I find that very distasteful and feel like I'm betrayed and lied to by the current Republican Party.
I'm a Republican. I used to watch Fox News, but something was happening at the beginning of the year where I felt like, oh my gosh, the RNC is getting hijacked. This is not my RNC. This is not my Republican Party. And you seem to be a platform of propaganda or whatever Trump wants you to say. I voted for Nikki Haley. And then, when I was barred, it's like, where do I go?
The Republican Party today is nothing like what I grew up with. And honestly, the people that are in control today, all they want is power. And they want to hold on to power for as long as they can. I don't know if it's to reshape our country or for their personal gain, but they seem hell-bent on changing the way we live in this country.
I really don't feel the leadership of the Republican Party today represents the same values that Ronald Reagan did. I have to consider the person of Donald Trump as being someone that is detrimental to the vision of the founding fathers. I have to really consider the fact that if there is a candidate that does not stand for all Americans, then how can that person really make America great? Therefore, I will not be voting for Donald Trump in the 2024 election.
The GOP party is now fomenting distrust and hatred. It used to be, and the party that I grew up in was the defender of morals and ethics and good governance. And where did all that go? It is a huge concern to me. I'm all for draining the swamp, but when we just turn it into a stinking cesspool, that is not how I want to live.
It's absolutely disgusting to me that the Republican Party would endorse and would be proposing Donald Trump again as the leader of the party. I mean, he is the leader of the Republican Party right now. And it is so embarrassing to me as a lifelong Republican. I can't even believe it. It makes me want to walk away.
I had voted in every election since 2008 that I possibly could. And every time I voted for Republican. I cannot see myself voting for them anytime soon. I cannot vote for a group that hates on women, hates on people because of race, creed, nationality, sexual orientation, ethnicity, religion, any of that. In the current format that the Republican Party currently is in, I don't see myself voting for them anytime soon. I will not vote for any Republican moving forward, because in order to be a leader in the Republican Party, you must swear true faith and allegiance to the former president. And in my opinion, that is not a democracy.
Republican Party today is nothing like the Republican Party that I grew up with. It is antagonistic. It shows values that I don't have, and that I don't think a majority of the people who are in between the far right and the far left are.
I have seen the Republican Party just devolve, to be really honest. I mean, people that I admired, even people that didn't necessarily get great marks as presidents, but Gerald Ford and definitely Ronald Reagan and people like that. And to see what has become now the face of the Republican Party, it saddens me, not only as a former Republican, but it saddens me as an American, because I feel like, Donald Trump is not only, a self-absorbed, narcissistic individual, but he's bad for America, and the fact that the majority of the Republican Party has sold out to and has decided to buy into him because for their own power is very disturbing to me. So no, I could never vote for him again.
I have voted for every single Republican presidential nominee since I was 18 years old, but I can't do that anymore. This is not the party I joined 40 years ago. This is not the party of Reagan. This is not the party of McCain. This is a populist, ultra-right-wing party that I want nothing to do with.
Currently affiliated with the Republican Party, I'm losing my trust in it. I'm losing what I have always thought that I was, but I'm not sure what my standing is in it today. I'm holding on tightly to what I think it used to be. I grew up in the Republican Party. I'm from a Christian family, deeply moral. The Democratic Party has never been a place for us to even really consider, but the Republican Party has changed. What the Republican Party has become, it's become MAGA. It's become Donald Trump. It's his people. No matter what he says, it's the truth. To all these people, and my family included. I got friends that are, they're MAGA. They're not Republican. They're not Republican whatsoever. Not what I grew up.
It's like a cancer on our democracy, and it's infiltrated every level of our democratic institutions.
Sadly, the Republican Party has gone over to support him in great numbers. So I've got to disaffiliate with them. I just can't support that. Then that's kind of how I've gotten to where I am.
I realized that MAGA was reshaping the party into something that was more and more unrecognizable. And at this point in time, I don't recognize the party at all any longer. I feel that I didn't abandon the Republican Party. It abandoned me. And I don't have a home there anymore. I can't support Trump. I can't support the party. It's becoming just abhorrent to me what they stand for any longer. I'd hope that the Republican leadership would use this as an opportunity to finally kick him to the curb and minimize him. Instead, they went down to Mar-a-Lago, kissed his ring, and asked for forgiveness after they had, those of few that had the courage to denounce him on that day, then took it all back. And that was also another thing. As I saw that happening, I believe on January 8th through 9th, and went, no, they're not going to do anything. I have to leave. My conscience will not allow me to any longer be a part of this fraud and this, quite honestly, disgusting man who just, who's not anything like the Republicans that I knew. Not at all.
While our institutions are still standing, I never considered that GOP party leaders would fold like a cheap lawn chair. Under Trump, those ideals of diplomacy, statesmanship, personal responsibility, compassion were exposed as not only a lie, but they were a damn lie. That's what Trump does to people, and that's why he can never again be allowed in the White House.
I really think that overall, they have made the discourse dumber. They have hurt education. They have set us back generations now. Who knows what sorts of medical and technological advantages we might have had over China and places like that in the coming years that now we will not see because so many of Donald Trump's supporters in government have decided to kneecap our educational system.
Donald Trump has turned the Republican Party into, rather than a positive movement, a party that hates anything Democratic. So what Trump has done is, rather than reaching out across the aisle, shaking hands, which is what Reagan did, is what both Bushes did, and I don't know what the man has done. He's destroyed the Republican Party. The Republican Party has gotten to the point now where I hate to say this, but it's almost become, in certain aspects, the Trump supporters of the Republican Party are a cult.
The Republican Party that I agree with and that I think I've been a part of since 1974 is fiscally conservative for sure, but is rooted in accountability, personal responsibility. I grew up hearing about entitlement programs, et cetera, et cetera. And I spent 44 years in the corporate world. And it was about taking personal responsibility, doing your job, being accountable for your actions. That does not exist anymore in the leadership of the GOP and specifically Donald Trump. The right-wing extremism are the same philosophies we fight against around the world. I don't understand how the GOP can put forward a candidate that so blatantly disregards, callously disregards all that is appropriate for the office of president and defending the Constitution and serving all of the people of this country. I just don't get it. And I will not vote for Donald Trump ever.
In terms of this division is what he's done to the Republican Party. I don't even recognize the Republican Party. Who are they? What do they value? What are their priorities? When did compromise become totally unacceptable to the Republican Party? So what are the policy recommendations for the Republican Party? Crickets. Who knows? Nobody knows. Or at least the people that I spoke to that are still professing to be Republican, that long-term conservative view of the Republican Party has gone. They're all it's gone. And when I ask my Republican friends, well, give me an idea of the policies that Trump enacted in those 4 years that are important and valuable to you. Nothing. They cannot articulate what those policies are. So I ask myself, well, if that's the case, what's the policy platform of the Republican Party? I don't think there is one. If there is, and they need to make it clear, because the lack of a policy platform means that party has pretty much gone by the wayside. And that's too bad.
I'm embarrassed by my party. I'm embarrassed by the MAGA movement taking over my party. It's not the party that I admired as a child under Ronald Reagan. This is a party that I do not recognize anymore. The Republican Party is not my party anymore. I'm not leaving the Republican Party, but to borrow the phrase of Ronald Reagan, the Republican Party under Donald Trump is leaving me.